Castletroy today make their first appearance in a Munster Schools Senior Cup final. Having already secured the Junior Cup title, an historic double is potentially on the cards. A winning tradition could give CBC the edge though, and us a thrilling showdown here today. So today's Munster Schools Cup final match is between Castletroy and CBC Cork. That's coming up in just a few minutes' time here on Setanta Ireland. Straight after that, there'll be highlights of yesterday's Leinster SCT final between St Mary's and Belvedere. An absolute cracker that went to the wire that it was. And then finishing up a triple header of schools finals with the Ulster final between Regent House and Methodist College directly after the Leinster final. Subscription details are of course available on the bottom of your screen. Hello and welcome to Dura Doyle for the Munster Schools Senior Cup Final of 2008. I'm joined today by recently retired Munster legend John Kelly. We'll be hearing from John in just a few moments' time. First though, let's remind ourselves of the route taken by both today's sides to the final.
Taken very well by Colm Dillon. Dillon up to the 22, he could make it here. Looks outside and finds the fullback, and the fullback is in. Back to Kidney. They have men over if they can move it quickly. Up to the line and they're in, and it's a great try. Kidney draws the defenders, and out it comes to the left winger, Johnny McCarthy. Back inside it goes Kidney. Stopped at the line but manages to wriggle out of the tackle. What a superb try, and they take it quickly. They don't want to get isolated, and here's a chance for Darren Maroney, and Darren Maroney makes it. And they have the chance here if they can make it. Out it comes, and it is the try, and back go Prez into the lead. And here they go again. Can this be the equalising score? And it's magnificently taken and beautifully taken by Castletroy. What a superb solo effort.
All the change in this rap game. Red, yellow, black and green blood flows through my veins. The rap game, as you know, is back
deep inside the 22, back outside Parfrey. Good hands in midfield. O'Callaghan, chance for a try, and it's going to be a score. Looking for him, finding his jumpers at the back, and now it's quick ball, purposeful ball, and they work the short side really well with a reverse pass. Must be a try from Mulrooney. It is a try for the fullback, and that is straight off the training ground. Glenstall perhaps not done yet, needing support. How do we know? Referee didn't spot it. They do get the penalty now. Beautiful technique, no doubt from the moment it left the boot. Back from Holt, so Flynn again. Bradley, that's gone forward surely. Referee indicates yes, it's a knock on. He has a look at his watch and he says that's the final piece of action. The dream is over for Glenstall, and through to the final go Christians.
So an eventful road to the final as you've just seen. John, let's perhaps put this in perspective. How big an occasion is this for these young men?
It's a huge occasion for them. These are young players, and it's the biggest game that have played in their lives so far. They've 3 games to win this tournament, and every game it gets harder and harder. You can feel it here today. There's a huge atmosphere. It's a big occasion for them. Psychologically,
how do they approach this? You have the small matter of a Heineken Cup winning medal in your back pocket. How did you do it?
Well, when you approach a final, you just have to treat it like every other game, even though there's so much attached to it and so much glitter and razzmatazz with it. But you just have to keep focused on the game, treat it like a normal game, and make sure you don't freeze up on the day.
Castletroy's first finals of freezing up may or may not be there. CBC have more of a winning tradition. Will that stand to them, do you think?
History is history. I don't know, does it mean a whole lot? I read Pat Langtry, the CBC coach, he was saying that history meant nothing to them, but I suppose last year's team at CBC, they have a lot of players remaining from last year, so I'm sure they'll take that experience into today.
Okay, well, time now to quickly catch up with Conor Morrissey, speaking with the players' representative from each school.
Yes, thank you, Paul. Well, joining me now from Castletroy is Jack O'Sullivan, and from CBC in Cork is Damien Attridge. Let's have a word with Jack O'Sullivan first. Jack, I suppose underdogs against Christians today, but are the players confident?
Yeah, there's good buzz around the school and everybody's kind of pulling in together and everything, so I think there's a good, out on the training pitch and everything, there's a good old confidence about the team.
What's the best way to approach this game from a tactics point of view from Castletroy?
I suppose just take it as it comes. We've been just play our own game. Just don't change it on the day. Just keep playing as we're playing through the season, and hopefully get on okay.
Jack, good luck today and enjoy the afternoon.
Thank you.
Okay, and on my left hand side from CBC in Cork is Damien Attridge. Damien, lots of pedigree of course in your college, 27 titles already. Castletroy have yet to win at senior level. Do you think that's going to stand in your favour?
It can and won't. Like John, Castletroy deserve to be here. They beat Prez, they're a very good team. But hopefully, if we play well and Chris does his running game, we'll be okay. Like.
And what style of rugby are you going to play, given that we already know that Castletroy like to move the ball wide?
I say we'll try and match them, but also we'll use up front. And Jack Bransford, with his immense kicking ability, will use that well.
Damien, thanks very much. Enjoy the day.
Yep, thank you.
Thanks, Conor. Well, we'll kick off fast approaching here in Doyle. The atmosphere is stepping up. It's hotting up more than a couple of notches. So coming up after this break, it's Castletroy versus CBC. Up on senior cup. Is that okay? Yeah, I'd say John Kelly is with us, still with Welcome back. Well, that's what it's all about. The Munster Schools Senior Cup Trophy. Castletroy taking on CBC. Both sides want it. It'll be interesting to see who exactly gets it. And as you can see there as well, the fans from both sides pouring into the stadium. Castletroy fans lapping up their first ever SCT experience. Now, John Kelly, of course, is still with me. John, no shortage of talent on display here today. Perhaps could we hone in on someone you've seen, interest you or through the tournament?
The number 12 for Castletroy, Diarmuid McCarthy. He's a quality player. Scored 2 tries in the semi-final against PVC. You can see here he gets the ball and he just goes for it. He's got a lovely outside break and very raw player with lots of gas. He just turns on the afterburners there and gets to the line. That try as well was scored at a crucial time. I think it was with about 2 minutes left in time, and he showed he has the big match temperament, and he's a guy who can win you games.
How important will he be to Castletroy's hopes today, do you think?
I think he can be important in many ways, in that CBC will be quite aware now of how important a player he is, and maybe he'll open up. CBC will have to defend him, and they might open up space for other players like Colm Dillon, who's also a good finisher.
How do men like him, I mean, these people are at such a tender age, how do they handle the pressure of something like this? It's huge.
Oh, it is big, but as I said, some guys have a big game temperament, and a guy like him will probably lap this up, and he'll help him. It'll help him in his game, and it'll certainly give him a boost.
It's been said during the week that Castletroy perhaps have more flair. They have match winners, but CBC, they're a little bit steadier. Would you agree with that?
They're very solid. They're defensively very strong. They stopped Glenstal with 20 minutes to go. They just held out, and they showed great defence. They've got some big players too as well. They've got O'Callaghan, the number 8. He's a good player and scored a great try in their semi-final. So they have quality too. Pat Parfrey is a quality footballer at 10 for Christians, so they have a good side as well, but it's an interesting contest between the two sides.
I know you sat in the video room in John Kelly HQ looking back over a lot of these videos over the past while. Has the standard of this year's competition impressed you?
It has. Certainly the semi-final between Castletroy and Prez was a great game from just a footballing point of view, so loose, but and the other one, the Christians game against Glenstal, it was great to see a side like Glenstal get to the semi-final, but Christians showed great heart and merit and great defensive qualities at the end as well.
Okay, well, it's time now for a little bit of squad news. Conor Morris is standing by with both coaches.
Martin, a first senior final, and the juniors, of course, have already made history by winning that junior competition. It must be absolute bedlam in Castletroy these days.
Crazy few days, all right. We've been very, very lucky with our juniors, and hopefully that's taken a little bit of pressure off our seniors, and that we have one cup now. If we could get a second, it'd be great. But really, we're just delighted to be here. And like you say, it's new ground for us.
You've already beaten Christians, albeit early in the season, in a match when both teams were under strength. But where can we expect the key battles?
I suppose from what we've seen, Christians seem to be very, very strong up front. We might have the edge maybe in the back, so I suppose you'll see two varying styles of play really. Maybe Christians trying to keep it up front and us trying to move it about a bit. So I suppose that whoever comes out on top.
Pat, whether you've won this title 27 times like CBC or never like Castletroy, every final is special. What's the build-up been like in Christians?
Oh, we've looked at it as just another game, although there's always been a little bit of a hint about it being a bit more than that, but certainly one game at a time. And training in the last 2 weeks has been pretty relaxed, but also pretty focused, and we've just tried to get a few things better than what we've had them in the previous games.
Anything in particular? Have you looked at the way Castletroy play, and are you going to act accordingly?
Well, they're certainly a juggernaut, aren't they? I mean, they're a very good side. They're a skilled set of players, and big where they need to be, powerful ball runners, and a very talented and fleet-footed set of backs. So we need to be on our game to compete today.
But good luck and enjoy.
The thoughts of both managers there with Conor Morris. John, I'm going to push you. Is it a day for the favourites or the underdogs?
It's hard to say who are the favourites and who are the underdogs here today. I suppose Christians have the tradition, but Castletroy, I mean, they have an edge in that this is their first ever final, and it's a huge day for the schools. So I couldn't really call it at the moment, but I suppose if I was pushed, I'd say maybe CBC.
And if you were the Castletroy coaching staff, how would you suggest they approach this game?
I think they just have to keep going the way they've been going and play that expansive game. They've got to rely on the likes of McCarthy and Dillon, and they've got, I think, Frawley in the pack as well. They've got to use those guys to lead them in the game and play as they've played in the previous rounds.
So the atmosphere really hotting up. How will conditions affect the game? Do you think it's pretty much perfect, isn't it?
It's pretty much perfect. There's a slight breeze there, but they're good conditions for running rugby, and both sides have the ability to play that kind of game.
Okay, well, thanks very much, Sean. We'll let you slip off to your commentary position. So it's time now for a break. CBC versus Castletroy after that, and commentary will come to you with the man. I've been talking to John Kelly and Conor Morris.
The Limerick Schools under 14.
Happy in, yep. He's not. He's still talking to a cameraman. He needs to be kind of quick. Well, quickish. And we need to make sure he has a copy of the teams actually as well. Does he? It doesn't look like he. Yeah, it doesn't look like he has teams. Just in case. For John, I probably have a spare one, but I'm not 100% sure. I do. I have one. It's grand. Check.
Thanks.
It's Foley and more just have you as well. Is it Nicky? Yeah. You're standing there for hey, it depends who you're talking to. They're probably about 40 seconds each. Castletroy first, yeah. Excellent. Do you want to hear John in your ear? No.
Maybe I should just a bit because
2.5 minutes including captions. Sure. I like that shot of the trophy and so on. I have a few bits I can say on that. CBC, the first name on that trophy way back in 1909, and we haven't seen a new name on it since '68, and we may see one today, etc., etc. I have, yeah. And if I don't, I'll make it up. It'll be a glittering one. John is in situ, yeah. Yeah, if you just give us a quick level on that mic, John, as well.
Hello, can you hear me?
Well, that's the scene here at Garryowen then. A very colourful occasion, and both sets of supporters have been inside the ground for quite some time now, soaking up the big game atmosphere, and that's what it's all about, as Paul mentioned. The first name on that famous trophy way back in 1909 was CBC in Cork, and we haven't seen a new name on that trophy since 1968. But we may have one by the end of play today. Let's have a look at how both teams are going to line up today. We'll start with Castletroy, and having caused one of the biggest upsets in the competition's long history by beating Pres Cork in the semis, it's no great surprise to see the same 15 start Castletroy's first ever Munster Senior Schools final. 8 of the starting team featured at this level last year, and that experience is nicely spread between 4 forwards and 4 backs. Proud day, of course, for the second row. Paul Dooley, who captains the team from Limerick. Alongside him is the hugely impressive Munster under-19 player Dara Frowley, who will hope to get good service from his provincial colleague Pádraig Hogan at the set piece. Ireland School Centre Diarmuid McCarthy, well, he stole all the headlines, didn't he, with his brilliant 2-try performance against Pres. But there's pace and talent right through that Castletroy backline, and CBC will need to cover all the angles of attack. Christians, well, they're also unchanged from their semi-final win over Glenstall. Behind a very strong and mobile front row today is the formidable pairing of Mulcahy and O'Dwyer, with their Munster under-19 teammate Brian O'Callaghan captaining the side from number 8. The Foley and Parfrey axes at half-backs worked extremely well in the second half of their semi-final match, with Billy O'Regan always very dangerous when given good quick ball. CBC's back three of O'Leary, Loftus and Mulrooney, well, it's the envy of most schools. Mulrooney's kicking from hand the last day, perhaps not up to his high standards, but he scored a really clever try in the second half that won the match, and he's a class act who could prove the difference between these two sides here today. Well, John Kelly's made his way from the pitch up to the commentary box beside me, and John, really looking forward to what could be a clash of styles, but a very entertaining game nonetheless.
Yeah, it could be a real quality game. I think both sides are capable of playing very good football. Christians have been steady on their way to the final, but they've showed great defensive qualities, and Mulrooney has scored some great tries, and Castletroy have lots of flair in their back three.
Well, it's absolutely incredible to think that as we watch CBC break away from their team picture, that it's 5 years since they last won this, so that's a little bit of a dearth in silverware by their high standards. But these guys taking to the pitch now, it's only their 4th ever match in the Munster Senior Schools. Castletroy, of course, only 8 years young, really is an incredible achievement, and of course, as we mentioned already, Junior Cup champions in 2008 and going for an unprecedented double. Lots of pressure on young shoulders, and the first 20 minutes of the first half today could be absolutely crucial. It could be about how Castletroy settle, but they do have 12 players actually back from last year, so there's a lot of experience in there. The likes of Dara Froley, Donald Byrne, Owen Sweeney, Kieran Clancy and Colm Dillon will be key today for Castletroy. And there's the man in charge today, George Clancy, the match referee. Tense faces, anxious moments. It's all down to the players now, the coaching staff and parents, and lots of people involved, of course, with these two colleges. They can do very little now, and it's time to hand over to the real stars, who wear numbers 1 to 22 for both teams. It's a day and it's an occasion for leaders to stand up and be counted. Billy O'Regan, the inside centre for CBC, wearing number 12 today, key player, Munster under-19 representative. 8 representative players on the Christians teams. And there's Pat Langtry, hoping to guide his team to success today. They're a well-coached outfit, that's for sure, CBC Cork, and that was evident in the semi-final. The way they held Glenstall at bay, a valiant challenge from Glenstall. Very little room, as you can see, on either side of the ground here. First time we've had a Munster Senior Schools final here, and it's going to be Castletroy to get us underway. Referee checks the watch. And so the 2008 Munster Senior Schools Cup final is underway at Gary Owens, CBC against Castletroy. Early exchange is key to both sides to get the confidence up and settle any nerves, of which there will be, that's for sure. And the man just in first piece of action there, Pat Parfrey, is going to be key for CBC Cork today.
Yeah, Pat Parfrey comes from a real Christians rugby family, and he's a great footballer. But a good solid start for Christians there, taking the ball in and just getting a clean touch. But Castletroy putting on a lot of pressure on the kicker.
Good early attacking position for Porrick Hogan to try and find his jumper, which he does.
Your choice.
Referee deciding it's not straight though.
In 15.
It was taken in by the number 5, Dara Frawley.
Wait for the call now, front rows, wait for it.
He's the key jumper for Castletroy.
Touch. Pause.
Huge game against PBC in the semi-final.
Hold the push. It's gone through 45, we'll have it again.
It's gone line 45, and lots of the talk in the build-up to this match about the Christians pack against the back line from Castletroy, but you can be very sure indeed that Castletroy will match, if they can, Christians up front and put in a huge effort from 1 to 8.
Sit on back row 9, stay on.
where we come with Brian O'Callaghan, one of the try scorers from the semi-final, helped out by James Mulcahy in there. Turnover ball though, and this is where Castletroy are so dangerous. Kevin Doyle sets it up, quick ball for Peter Murray through the hands of the half-back, and out it goes to Jimmy McCarthy, two-time try scorer in that semi-final.
Number 4, you've just gone off.
Off their feet though at the breakdown, and that's chance gone for Castletroy, but an indication of what they're all about, John.
Yeah, they certainly showed their willingness to move the ball there, but Pat Parfrey got straight up on Dermot McCarthy. He's obviously going to be a target for Christians today, having showed so much in the semi-final. But a good start by both sides, really. They're settling in well to the game.
In the end, it's the number 4. There he is, the Castletroy captain, Paul Dooley, penalised for not staying on his feet.
Captain, Castletroy
And
captain.
Mulrooney's kick finds touch just on the 22.
Captain. The captain, guys. It's the same for you. Stay on your feet in the tackle area. Oh. Just wait.
Set piece is going to be very interesting. 2 very big, formidable second rows, and that's gone the way of Castletroy and Kevin Doyle. Now Murray. Little box kick over the top. Looks to have judged it very, very well indeed. Smashing kick. Really well done from the scrum half.
Yeah, great kick there by Peter Murray. I think he was an out half in the junior team last year, but he's just a great footballer, a great reader of the game. But a lovely little kick into the corner there.
2 pack leaders. He's jumping early at the line out. Just wait until the ball comes in before he'll go up. Just keep an eye scar. We'll give you time to organise. Let's go, CBC.
So the early pressure on Christians.
Keep this gap. We'll give you time to organise.
Castletroy camped inside the 22.
Wait now. Hold him there, please. Hold him.
In it goes, and it's well stolen once again by Kevin Doyle, and it's shoved on by Owen Sweeney, and suddenly Castletroy are very close.
No, hands out red.
Referee runs around to the far side to be positioned to see if he can spot Castletroy trying to force their way, pick and drive over. There it is at the base of the ruck.
No!
Inches short, surely. Referee says no. And we go again. Round the fringes, lots of big players. Dara Frowley, the big number 5 at the back, spots a gap and goes for it. Tackling is exceptional from CBC, and it had to be pushed back, forced away from the line. Now they get it through the hands, and all of a sudden the gap's open, and if they can ship it wide, there was an overlap. Cormac Joyce Parr, the fullback, did well to get in the line. Now Murray might have a go on his own. He does. Very close indeed. Referee George Clancy looks and says no, we'll have a scrum 5. Peter Murray spotted the gap, and he must have been only inches short of the line.
Yeah, it's just see Peter Murray there just having a look and reaching and just inches short there. But great start by Castletroy. Their defensive line-up putting Christians under huge pressure. I think they've turned over 2 to 3 lineouts at this stage, and they really have started the better of the 2 sides.
This is very, very close indeed, John. Let's see if the referee gets it right.
I think a TMO would find that one hard to call. No matter how many times you looked at it, that could be the smallest bit of chalk in that ball, but too close to call, really.
Really good try and awareness from Peter Murray. A couple of players down on the deck, 2 Christian players, in fact, under the post there. But a really good start from the team from Limerick.
Yeah, and they're using Jim McCarthy there more as a ball player rather than a strike runner. He left a little pass off to the right winger Maroney, and then he in turn had a great offload. But they certainly are looking very sharp and very driven in this final.
And that's the thing, when you have a player of Jim McCarthy's obvious ability, he's a Munster under-18 and Ireland schools player, but they're also really good strike runners off him as well, in the shape of Colin Dillon and, as John mentioned, Darren Maroney and Cormac Joyce Parr as well. Any suggestion that Castletroy perhaps might be a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious coming into this match? Well, we haven't seen any indication of it in the opening 5 or 6 minutes.
Yes, certainly Castletroy have started the better of the 2 sides, and they're looking very sharp, you know, and they're using their qualities, which are their backs, and their second rows have had a great start. I think Frawley has had put huge pressure on the line-out. He's getting up in the air and making it very difficult for the Christians hooker.
Let's have a look at the set piece. This is where Castletroy are doing the damage, turning over ball. Really good take from Dara Frawley. And it was from that they set up the series of attacks which so nearly resulted in our first try from Peter Murray, just centimetres, millimetres even short of the Christians line. In the eyes of referee George Clancy, in any case, very close he was.
I think Christians as well in that passage of play just showed how strong they are defensively. I mean, they were under huge pressure and Castletroy managed to get offloads in, but still the Christians' bodies got on the line and stopped the ball from coming over.
Brian O'Leary and John Crowley in there to back up the defensive effort. Murray's in really quick here, appealing for the penalty, and then he spots it, has a look, sees the gap, and in the end he's well tackled and stopped just short. Changes the foot for CBC. Brian Hayes, hugely talented line-out technician who injured his ankle in early season, is warming up down below me. It looks as though it's an unfortunate end to the afternoon, very early indeed for the CBC captain Brian O'Callaghan. There's Brian Hayes. Don't like to see this, John. It's a very anxious moment for coaching staff and parents and the players indeed. It's very unsettling in the early moments of a big final like this, and a real influence, Brian O'Callaghan, of course.
Yeah, he's a quality player and scored a great try in the semi-final, but you don't like to see this, don't like to see a stretcher coming on. Hayes is a great footballer himself, a quality player, but it looks like it'll be a sad end to O'Callaghan's day when it's only just begun, really.
And the changes to the Christians team may not end there, because that's number 17, Alec Joyce, being prepared to come in as well, just in the back of your shot there behind Brian Hayes. Kyle O'Dwyer is the other Christians player currently receiving attention, so it may be Hayes for O'Dwyer. And there you see Castletroy just trying to keep on their toes, keep warm and ready to go. Long stop and play.
The good thing is he's moving his hands around there and everything. It looks like it's some kind of lower limb injury, but disappointing for him, but hopefully not that serious.
Didn't really catch what happened or how the injury came about, but it looked innocuous enough. It was possibly a clash of heads even in there, as 2 or 3 Christians players went to try and stop the Peter Murray try effort. Pat Langtry, the coach, in there to oversee proceedings, and everyone obviously anxious to see that both injured players are not too seriously injured, let's hope, in any case.
See, Terry Kingston has gone in there as well to help, former Munster and Ireland great. Some a few words with Hayes there before he went on as well, so Terry's obviously playing a big role with Christians as well these days.
So a very disappointing early end to the afternoon and a worrying sight, but there you can see he's up and moving around, and perhaps the injury not all that serious, let's hope anyway. Meantime, Kyle O'Dwyer is going to receive a little bit of attention, so we would expect to see him back again. It looks as though Brian O'Callaghan's afternoon, though, is over, so the captain for Christians has been taken away on a stretcher, and he looks like he may have a trip to hospital to check out if he's okay. Kyle O'Dwyer called ashore for the meantime as a blood replacement. Incoming Brian Hayes, number 19. So in actual fact, Alex Joyce, the number 17, they're in for a blood replacement for Kyle O'Dwyer, and Brian Hayes, a replacement for Brian O'Callaghan. Now then, after that long stoppage in play, referee George Clancy on hand to give a free kick to Christians for the skewed put into the scrum by Peter Murray.
Not straight into the scrum.
Clearance kick is a very good one.
Well, hopefully that won't disrupt what was a great start to the game, and hopefully that Christians won't be too unsettled by those two changes. You know, certainly Hayes has a huge reputation, so he'll be it won't be that big a loss. Maybe losing O'Callaghan and Hayes coming on.
A little bit loose at line-out time for Castletroy, but it's back on their side, and Kevin Doyle has seen a lot of ball in the opening exchanges. Now Murray, again, confident player, elects to kick himself.
Took a touch, Dermot.
Very, very good kick. Got a fortunate hop perhaps, but good spot from the scrum half.
Yeah, great spot there. He saw that there was space in behind Christians. They were up flat, and rather than playing it out to the backs who were going to get hammered, he just put it in behind them and kept the pressure on Christians, turned them, put them back in their own 5 metre line.
Pádraig Hogan again finding his targets and finding them comfortably.
From the hindmost now, Red.
Frawley doing his job well, the big number 5. There it is for Murray. And again, they've got lots of options with ball in hand. McCarthy, difficult player to put down, takes 2 with him. Murray again now. This time the inside pass, and the defence once again from Christians initially is very good. Castletroy reorganise, and a pick and go from Kevin Doyle. Slower ball coming back this time. It's been disrupted and slowed down well by Christians legally, says George Clancy. Donald Byrne with a crossfield kick, real chance of a try, and the first try almost in for Castletroy. Agonisingly though for Colin Dillon, spotted brilliantly by Donald Byrne. Puts it on the sixpence, and Dillon really perhaps should have scored.
Great chance there for Dillon. He did everything right up to that point. He pulled away and saw that the Christians winger didn't follow him. He put himself in space, but just was very unfortunate to drop it.
Real chance gone then for Castletroy. Dillon probably had too much time. And this is what Christians do really well. So much power in their forward pack. Making 10 metres. Now they go back to Parfrey. And the clearance is a good one. Finds touch just short of his own 22, but still Castletroy playing the game where they want to, which is deep in Christians' territory.
Yeah, Castletroy dominating territorially, but you feel they need to get something out of this, that they need to score, but they've certainly started the better of the two teams.
Hogan once again with a really good delivery, and look how quickly they move it through the hands. Murray's had a really good start to this match, the little scrum half. Now they go out to the big man, Paul Dooley, the captain, and on now to Byrne. Not working out this time, an advantage being played by George Clancy to CBC, who make it outside their 22.
Stay here. Advantage over.
Again, the option is to pick and drive around the fringes. Brian Hayes was running out of pitch and popped it back inside really well.
Stay here back now.
Indication of what he's all about. On they go with Willie Ryan, who's forced sideways and backwards. And holds on.
In from the side,
or in from the side they come, and the penalty to Castletroy.
So a lovely bit of skill there by Hayes. You saw he was going out of touch and just flicked the ball back in with the inside of his hand. But Castletroy is still where they want to be, and they finally got an opportunity to take some points here.
So the option is for a kick at the post. It's a very difficult kick. It's a blustery afternoon at Gary Owen. Wind kind of swirling around and across the pitch, and this is Dara Frawley. Strikes it really, really well, does Frawley, and it's the first points of the 2008 final to Castletroy. What a kick from the second row.
A great effort by Frawley. Wrong side for a right footer, but forget about John Eales with a new second row kicker.
Tremendous boot from the big man. And it's 3 points to no score, and deservedly so, it must be said, from Castletroy. They've dominated the early exchanges. Billy O'Regan with the restart. Taken on by the hooker for Castletroy, Pádraig Hogan.
Back up, 7 blue, back up.
Murray has a look. And from a good pickup, kick straight down the middle this time. This is Oran Mulrooney, the fullback. Loves to run, rangy player, and he can kick off both feet as well. And that's a really well-measured kick from the fullback.
Nice play by Mulrooney. He had a look, he wanted to see was it on, and he just saw that the Castletroy defence were up in numbers, and he just cleverly put it in behind them, and finally Christians are getting in a good territorial position, and maybe they can put some pressure on Castletroy here.
Oran Mulrooney's got a try in each of his 2 matches so far.
Keep the gap at the front.
Spent 10 minutes in the bin as well against Glenstoll, and he was badly missed, but he came off the bench to good effect in the second half. Again, an indication of just how well the set piece works for Castletroy. Hogan with a lovely delivery, and Frawley, the early penalty scorer, plucking it from high in the sky on the maul. Steals another 10 metres, and Hogan again prominent with ball in hand, the hooker.
7 back up, 7 back it up.
Beautifully judged from the fly half, Donald Byrne as well, and the half-back pairing of Murray and Byrne have settled really well into this match.
Yeah, they're looking very confident. Byrne a second ago had a great pick-up off his toes, and there he just picked the space and put it in behind, and I suppose when you start a cup final, all you want is territory and to get down there and come away with points.
Coaching staff from Christians perhaps a little bit grateful that they're not further behind at this stage. Once again, it's crooked from touch.
I don't want you talking to your opponents like that. Back up, please. We got it, it's okay.
Just huge pressure there again from Castletroy, and Christians having to throw to the back to try and find an option, but it's just not happened for them yet today.
Square it up, please. CBC, don't push before the ball comes in. Nice and handy, please. Let's get a clear tunnel. Crouch, touch, pause, engage.
That's Jack Bransfield on the tight head side for CBC. Huge figure. Scrum is under pressure. Murray needs to be quick and clever, and he is. And Byrne, and now McCarthy. And just look at this from Jim McCarthy. That is an absolutely exceptional try by the inside centre. Twice we saw it in the semi-final, and we were certain that he would stamp his name all over this final. And what about this for a try from Jim McCarthy?
Just a fantastic individual effort. He just drifts outside the defender, but after that it's just pure class. Stepping off his left foot twice, and you can't teach that, you're just born with it, and that's just natural talent. Just his 2 left-footed steps there. That's as good as you'd see at any level of the game.
From a rocky set piece, it was good work from the 2 half-backs, and then it was into the arms of Jim McCarthy. 4 or 5 CBC players came to meet him, and he went by every single one of them. And the extras added by Frawley. And this is a brilliant start for Castletroy. They probably wouldn't even imagined that they would have started and settled so well, but they've dominated from virtually the first whistle, and they're good value for their 10 points to 0 lead.
Yeah, they have been the better team so far today, and I mean, Jimmy McCarthy is showing that he is a big game player, and when he got his chance, he just took it.
Christians will be a little bit shell-shocked and certainly very rocked by that. Interesting to see how they respond. Time for composure and to keep doing the basics correctly and try and play a little bit of rugby if they can down in the Castletroy half of the pitch.
Nice big gap. Here's our mark. Blues.
I think Christians will just be looking for a score now. 3 points will do them anything just to get into Castletroy's half and get a score.
Delivery from Stokes looking for James Mulcahy. Wasn't clean ball, but there's Mulcahy again with the pick and drive, helped out by Willie Ryan.
Hands off the ball, release.
Tackling's been feverish from both sides, and Castletroy sniffing a turnover here.
Hands out, no red.
And they've got it as well. Dara Bonfill has his hands on the ball.
Don't go inside.
Now it's loose, referee says it's out, and it's anyone's. It's back on the Christian side. Dara Foley has a little bit of a look and does well to hand off a couple of bigger players. Now in come the big forwards. That's the Castletroy 10-metre line. Good tackling once again from the man from Limerick.
Pillar, stay now.
Clearing out and counter-rucking from Frawley. Kick is deep enough for Cormac Joyce Power to comfortably take the mark.
Stay 10 now.
That's a bit better from Christians, managing to put a few phases together, give them a bit more confidence. Eventually they had to go to the kick, but a bit better from Christians.
Huge kick from the fullback. Doesn't find touch though and invites the other fullback, Oran Mulrooney, to run it back at Castletroy. Now it's there for Foley. Parfrey's well tackled again. Huge effort from the pack from Castletroy. Taken on by Brian Hayes. He's already made an impact since his introduction for the injured Brian O'Callaghan. That's Willie Ryan, the open side, helped out by Kieran Stokes, his hooker. And they make it up over halfway.
Stay back up, you.
And we understand that Alec Joyce is now a permanent replacement for Kyle O'Dwyer, so 2 changes already for CBC. In possession just inside the Castletroy half.
Stay here.
And it's a little bit loose, and that's a reflection of just how much pressure they're being put under by Castletroy. And just look at the running rugby from the team from Limerick. Maroney going fully 40-50 metres forward. Another of the try scores in the semi-final. The right winger.
Back up, back up.
Murray comes on this side, and here's Jimmy McCarthy. And again, look how elusive the first centre is. Eventually tackled by the hooker Kieran Stokes. Spun out early again by Murray. They're getting good platform and go forward ball, and there's almost another gap right on the 22 for Castletroy. And there still might be if Murray can work it right quickly. Elects to go with the boot, and he's got 2 runners over in that far corner. Did he get it down? Yes, he did indeed. It's a second try. Wonderful kick through from the scrum half Peter Murray, and Darren Maroney is in for the second try, and Castletroy are surging ahead.
Well, it's a great score by Castletroy. This is the last bit here. Peter Murray putting the kick through, and I think Maroney getting the touchdown. Fitting really that he gets the touchdown after making the initial break. But Castletroy playing great rugby. They're showing they know when to kick and they know when to run, and their dangerous players have made a huge impact in this game so far.
You just saw Murray have a little look up. He spotted 2 against 1 out on that far side, and it was any one of 2 players. And on the final replay there, direct confirmation that Maroney did in fact ground the ball correctly, and it was a legitimate try. Well worked and well taken. And this is Frawley from right out on the touchline. Even more difficult kick than the conversion from McCarthy's try. It's well within his range though, and that's a huge effort just to the right hand side of the uprights though, and it remains 15 points. A wry smile from the big second row.
Yeah, Castletroy couldn't have asked for a better start. To be 15-0 up after 27 minutes, it's a brilliant start for them, but it's after 27 minutes and Christians still have time to get back. I mean, they're playing catch-up rugby now, but they still have time to get back, and Castletroy can't relax.
So on the clock we have 7 or 8 minutes to play of normal time, but there will be a lot of time to add on by George Clancy following that long stoppage after the injury to the CBC captain Brian O'Callaghan in the very early stages. If you're just joining us and looking at the score through wide eyes, it is in fact Castletroy 15, Christians 0. 2 tries to the good now, Darren Maroney and Jimmy McCarthy. Christians now trying to put a dent in that. Darren Loftus doing good work and skipping a couple of tackles and bringing it over halfway. Kicked on then by Darryl Foley. Scrum half leaves it for his fullback, and Conor Joyce Power again takes the mark, and he's got a huge boot. Oh, terrific kick from the fullback, and everything is working really well for Castletroy. Massive kick from the fullback.
Yeah, great vision there by Joyce Power. He took the mark and he just had a look up straight away and saw there was space over here on the right hand side, and drilled a kick straight into touch, keeping his team in Christian's half. But again, Christian's looking a bit better. Darren Loftus made a lovely little break there, a lovely counter attack, so it's improving for Christians.
A little bit of attention for one player from each team, and wonderful kick from the fullback. Let's have a look at it again. Looks left, spots the gap, and then he drills this fully 50 metres downfield. Wonderful, confident play.
Okay.
I'm not surprised there are players down at this stage, because the pace has been hectic in this game. It's been end-to-end stuff and a lot of free-flowing rugby. I mean, although it's 15-0, it's been a great game to watch, because there's been a lot of good rugby from both sides.
Let's go.
Well, Castletroy do like to move it through the hands. Scored 3 wonderful tries in what was a huge win for them in the semi-final at Clifford Park a couple of weeks ago against PBC. 23 points to 22. And they're showing today already that was by no means a flash in the pan. Bossing the team with the bigger pedigree, and well worth their 15-point advantage as we tick towards the half-hour mark now. Again, Christian's being forced backwards in the tackle, holding on, and the penalty coming to Castletroy. Wonderful work again from the pack.
2 second rows there, Dooley and Frawley, the two of them at pillar and post, we'd say, and they just, the minute the Christians runner picked the ball, they were on top of him, and he had no chance. He was driven back. They're just showing great appetite for this game.
I got some from your hand last second.
Pat Langtree and the coaching staff for Christians probably scratching their heads, wondering exactly what they can do about this. It's not that they've done very much wrong at all, but Castletroy, huge appetite for the game, and from the first whistle they've been tigerish and feverish around the fringes and forcing the mistakes. The latest now leading to this penalty for Dara Frawley. Good attempt, but not going to make it this time, so it's 1 from 3 and 3 very difficult kicks, and it remains 15 points to 0.
Just Frawley has a lovely strike of the ball. Even the kicks he's missed there, though, have been very good efforts.
We're going to take that again. Wait. We're going to organise this now. You take the kick again. You know it must bounce before you kick it, all right?
CBC, of course, will be far from panicking. They've been behind already in the competition. They were in arrears going in at half-time to Glenstone and produced a really good, solid second-half display of intelligent, patient rugby. Now then, both wingers, of course, for Castletroy love to run. We've seen Maroney already get a try. Dillon there with ball in hand. Murray in again around the fringes, doing great work.
Stay here now.
Seizing the loose ball, making sure it stays back on Castletroy's side. Jimmy McCarthy. Huge kick down into the Christians 22, and under it is Mulrooney up against his opposite number, and does well in the end, the fullback.
I must say, I'm impressed by Pat Parfrey there so far in that phase of play. He got up, made a big hit on a man bigger than him, and then got up again and made a hit on another fellow. He's working very hard in defence. He's a good footballer, but he's got a big heart too.
Again, it's good set piece work from Castletroy, and the gap's beginning to open up. Stephen Murphy doing well in the loose. Now Murray. Donald Byrne breaks a couple of tackles. Out came Mulrooney to meet him, and that was a good tackle. Advantage being played to Castletroy by George Clancy. None coming, and they will have the penalty.
Number 10, not coming through the gate. Number 10.
A superb hit there by Mulrooney. It looked like Castletroy were through again, and he just came out of the blue and smashed Donald Byrne, the 10.
Two very good fly halves in action today, Donald Byrne and Pat Parfrey.
Loads of time left. There's at least 5 minutes of injury time.
Here comes
back in the line, please,
Mulrooney.
guys.
Wonderful hit. And in the end, it was Parfrey adjudged to have come through from the side. And it's 3 more points for Castletroy, who lead by 18 points to 0 as we tick ever closer to half-time. It makes wonderful reading from the team from Limerick.
Do you know, it's not even a case of Christians have been playing badly. It's just Castletroy have even compared to their semi-final win, they've just upped it a gear. Their defence has been rock solid, and their play with the ball in hand has been outstanding.
I couldn't agree. Christians have had little or no opportunity whatsoever anywhere within range to do any kind of damage. This time Murray rather slices the kick, and this perhaps an opportunity from which CBC will feel they must get some scores on the board.
At this stage, CBC just have to get points on the board before half-time. This is a real opportunity. They've got good pitch position, and they're going for a shortened line out here, and obviously recognising that they need to mix things up a bit.
Kieran Stokes